2 minutes before draft has been ready to go, my whole Discord just breaks. But I think we're good. We're back. We're here finally for this best of 3 between Zeus Gaming and AOE Randoms RMC. This is going to be an exciting one. Lots of implications coming up here for the playoffs tomorrow, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But as you said, the draft's already underway. You see this first 6 bans and Diana going over first for Griffin.
Yeah, and that's really what Griffin's been kind of defaulting to do for the most part. If Xin Zhao's open, you pick it. If it's not, Diana is that go-to. And why not here? Griffin doesn't have to be that early ganking jungler for the team. You've got such strong lanes in Alorum and Tuesday and Raheen and Rhino on the bot side that you can afford to take the time to scale up and become that mid-game force here, that initiator. Now, for the side of AOE Randoms here, Viego might be banned, but Gwen is still open. And Gwen, there are counters to her now, but she is still such a strong pickup in general.
Yeah, and alongside that, Tristana, both of these champions serve as flex picks. Important to note, Ziggs still not taken off the table by Zeus Gaming, was a champion that Short Hop specifically played a whole lot in their series against Supernova, combined with this Tristana in the mid lane for Leo. So would not be surprised to either see a takeaway here or a pick on it the other side on this R3. Thresh going to come through here for Rhino, one of his signature pickups as well.
Yeah, and for Raheen here, I don't believe that they've really played the Ziggs whatsoever. They are still playing more standard. For that matter, Tuesday hasn't really played the Ziggs either. So they might not pick it. They might just leave it up and available. And yeah, when you pick the Thresh here, it does feel like a lot of times they do will with that Aphelios safe scaling champion. Lots of damage. And when you have that safety with Thresh, it does feel more effective than that Ziggs here. Now, AOE Randoms, like you pointed out, Grapes, they've got a chance to pick it. And I'd be surprised if they don't.
Yeah, and this combo worked so well for the AoE Randoms against Supernova in the first day of the EGL Summer Showdown group stage. Using these two champions to just push in turrets, get as many plates as possible, and then use that gold lead to compound their advantages in the game, and eventually enough to push down and end with the Nexus going down. We're headed into the second phase of the bans. LeBlanc and Aurelia, solo lane priority here for the Randoms, while on the other side, it's going to be some pockets focus with Nautilus and Leona.
Yeah, and Irelia and LeBlanc on these last couple of patches have really moved up Irelia, especially after that rework. It was supposed to be a rework, a balance, but it's come across as a bit more of a buff than anything else here. So they just want to deny it away from Tuesday, take away some of that lane strength here, and maybe be able to punish it. And for Zeus, they're taking away the supports, which are usually known to deal well with that Thresh. They're also trying to remove some of the initiation here, but there's just so many possibilities. And AoE Randoms, they go with a riskier one here in that Rakan. Now, we've seen the Rakan used before by AoE Randoms. Paucus is extremely proficient on this champion here, but it is a little bit risky into the likes of a Diana Thresh. You know, if you do get tagged up by any of them, you can get burst down, and any sort of CC landing on this Rakan would spell death to it.
Yeah, Rakan was paired up with Short Hop Ziggs as well in game 2 of AoE Randoms versus Supernova. So we've seen this combo work before. Paucus had some really great engages, and this is a champion that is super good at going in, but wow, on the other side, 2 picks you don't see every day. Tahm Kench and Yasuo are going to be your solo laners for Zeus Gaming.
Okay, I am so excited for both of these here, Grapes. First, let's talk about the Tahm Kench. So Tahm Kench did get reworked on this patch 11.14 and is a nightmare in the solo lanes right now. He's just got so much sustainability. He does percent health damage as well here, and he's got a pretty much on-demand knockup. So it's so difficult to punish him if you don't have a shield breaker. And Renekton wasn't going to be picked. You already saw that the Gwen was picked here, Tristana and Ziggs. So you know that the solo lanes are going to be fairly safe for the Tahm Kench. Great pickup here, and Gwen is going to struggle into it quite a bit here. Now, with that Yasuo as well, Diana Yasuo, Grapes, I just released a video earlier today talking about, you know, Diana Yasuo and the way 100 Thieves used it so well. Zeus picked it up, and why not, right? Like, you've got great engage now. You've got the follow-up damage on the Aphelios. And for AoE Randoms here, what they've drafted so far, they want to engage here, but they don't want to be engaged upon. They are kind of squishy. If Tristana, Gwen, Ziggs get caught, Rakan get caught, they're instantly going to get popped by that Moonfall Last Breath combo.
Yeah, and not just the Moonfall. There's other abilities in Zeus Gaming's team composition that can utilize that knockup potential with the Last Breath, whether it's the Abyssal Dive out of the reworked Tahm Kench, or even a Flay or Death Sentence coming out from Rhino. So putting a lot of the eggs into the Tuesday basket, not something that we're super not unfamiliar with on the side of Zeus Gaming, Tuesday has been an insane carry for this team throughout the 3 tier 2 tournaments, coming all the way over from Solifide. So going to be really exciting to see him on this unique champion. Probably, I think that makes it 16 unique champions here for Tuesday.
Yeah, it does indeed here. And for Alorum as well, who has played a lot of different champions, that's 12 uniques now also for Alorum here. So a lot of changes. Now, the way Zeus wants to play this is they kind of just want to play a safe laning phase here. Your Yasuo is not exactly the best laner here. You are a little bit weak early on until you get a couple of items. But if you're running into the likes of a Tristana, picking up an early point in that win wall does a lot to negate that damage coming through. You can really mess up the combo from that Tristana here. So it's not a terrible lane, or it's not the worst lane. It is still kind of rough because it is still melee versus range. But once you start getting those items, you're much, much better off. Your bot lane, Thresh of Philios, you're not playing that to win. Ziggs doesn't have a ton of damage early necessarily in his base kit and does run out of mana. So you're just kind of looking to skill up for the most part here and just trying to avoid the engages coming in from the Rakan. Your strong lane is going to be your top lane with this Tahm Kench here into the Gwen. Yes, Gwen's an absolute monster, but after that first couple of levels, Tahm Kench can go toe to toe. And I've not actually seen the Tahm Kench Gwen laning phase like later on, so I'm not sure who wins it.
Yeah.
I know they're both pretty OP right now, and I'm very much looking forward to see how that works. But Zeus, they're all about that mid game. Once that Moonfall Last Breath combo comes online, they will transition that into the Aphelios carry here. So AoE randoms are on a bit of a timer.
Yeah, definitely so. The scaling coming out, as you said, RMC, from middle 3 champions in the Diana, Yasuo, and Aphelios, going to be really massive, especially as the game goes on. And this mid-jungle duo, Wiggly and Tuesday, just want to focus in on them just a little bit on this signature Diana Yasuo combo, which we've seen a lot here in competitive play, just really doubles down on the mid-jungle synergy that these two former CLG members have.
Yeah, and generally speaking, when we look at how Zeus plays their game here, Raheen and Rhino tend to be left a little bit on their own, and Alorum looks to dominate his lane in the top lane here, one of the best top laners currently in Amateur. And Wiggly Tuesday, they're sort of the battery here who's going to make things happen on the map. Look for these sort of aggressive picks to transition into these objectives here, and then usually Alorum starts getting into it, and then they'll pull up Raheen and Rhino. So that is the best combo to really look for here. Your mid, your jungle, Griffin, and Tuesday here. Now, AoE randoms, Grapes. We talked a lot about Zeus here. I'm talking about AoE randoms composition because it's nothing out of the ordinary. We've seen this a lot from them. We talked about the fact that Short Hop has been playing a lot of Ziggs throughout this tournament, specifically here in the EGL tournament. And it has its strengths. The Zig skills really, really well. Gwen skills really, really well as well. And AoE randoms, usually with the Ziggs, have looked to play sort of zone control compositions where you set up an objective, you control where the enemy comes in from, you poke them down, and then you throw a bomb. You get a kill, you get the objective. If you don't get the kill, as long as you do enough damage, you get the objective as well. And that works great into teams that can't force an engage onto you. But with that Diana, with that Tahm Kench, things get a little dicey here. And AoE randoms, they can no longer sort of play that sit back and poke composition. Now they have to actively poke. And I'm looking a lot actually at Josie on this Olaf to make something happen to be able to find his way in. And more importantly, on the carries, on Leo and Short Hop to try and survive the engage from the Diana Yasuo. If they can do that, they can definitely turn a lot of these team fights around and then find their own ways back into it, find their own aces, find their objectives.
Yeah, and when I look at just the teams that we have here in this matchup, Zeus Gaming and AoE Randoms, when you look at Zeus, they're a team that really likes team fighting. They have some of the best team fighters that we have in the amateur scene with players like Alorum, Griffin, and Tuesday, and they like to play late game and just run it down 5-man in the mid lane and just kill your entire team. And I think that the composition that they set up really fits that sort of style. On the other side, AoE randoms know that they can't beat them at their own game. So they're going to try this special split pushing strategy that we saw worked really well against Supernova with the Tristana Ziggs combo and hope that that sort of unorthodoxy helps them out just a little bit. So it's still just two different perspectives here for this game one. And while I'm very excited for this game one, RMC, this series has some serious playoff implications here in Group D of the EGL Summer Showdown.
Oh, yeah. And I believe that was partially why we had some delays to start the stream here. There was some clarification required by the EGL admins as to how things were going to play out. And that's because this particular group here, Group D, is potentially the closest one here. The standings currently have Zeus Gaming at 2-0. They've beaten both Dignitas Mirage as well as Supernova. AOE Randoms is currently sitting at 1-1, having beaten Supernova but lost to Dig Mirage. Dig Mirage are at 1-2, having lost to Zeus and AOE but beating Supernova. And Supernova is also now at 1-2, having lost to Zeus and AOE Randoms but having beaten Dig Mirage. So, long story short, right now, we could have a potential three-way tie if AOE Randoms loses this 0-2. If they win a single game right now, they qualify as second seed. And if they win both these games against Zeus here, they can come out of the group as first seed.
Yeah, that is something that I was not expecting coming into this group. The possibility for AOE Randoms to make it out in first place over a team like Zeus Gaming if they manage to take the win off them in this matchup. Not that I'm saying it's super unlikely, but in the other cases, with the way that the game score tiebreakers are set up, if AOE Randoms fall 0-2 to Zeus Gaming, it's going to come down to longest game time, I believe, in losses. Which will be interesting stat to look at, especially if things start to go a little bit awry for AOE Randoms in this game one. But we'll see if that happens in a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know what the exact tiebreak rule is anymore. From what I understand,
who knows at this point?
Yeah, exactly. Lots have been changed. Last we had heard, it was going to be based on your total game time, and basically whoever has the two teams with the longest game time will go into a tiebreak. That was what we had last heard, and if that is the case here, then should AOE Randoms not be able to pick up a game or a win in this particular best of 3 here, I believe their total time would need to be 57 minutes and 26 seconds or longer to qualify for that tiebreak match. But we'll see how that works out here. Hopefully, I mean, AOE Randoms, they're not here to go into a tiebreak. They're not here to barely eke in. They're here to get a win in this best of 3 here.
Yeah, we are totally excited for this matchup, and we finally have made it into the game. Zeus Gaming will be on your blue side, AOE Randoms on your red side. RMC, I'm super excited to see how this one turns out.
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, the thing is, Zeus has looked basically unstoppable in this group so far here, right? They've smashed their way through Supernova. They smashed their way through Dignitas Mirage. And then the question now is, can AOE Randoms do anything about it? Can they be the ones to maybe put an end to their winning spree here? Again, a single win would already propel them into second seed. And if they can get the win in the best of 3, they're first seed against Zeus, who many consider, one of the top 2 teams currently in amateur.
Yeah, and for Zeus, this is, while they have already locked their spot into the playoffs, they will be playing tomorrow. This kind of is a statement game for them. They have struggled in recent days. Of course, going 4-0 in the first 2 games of groups, going to be pretty impressive as we see a bit of an invade here onto the bottom side by the side of AOE Randoms. But they struggled in the playoffs of Risen. They lost to Wildcard in the semifinals. They got reverse swept by Maryville in the 3rd place match. And as a team that many were expecting to be right up there with Wildcard Red as best amateur team with the potential to even make a really long run in Proving Grounds, having a statement victory here is going to be super important.
Yeah, for sure. And we're already seeing the aggressive trades, right? Not only the fact that there were invades on both sides of the map, but bot side, they're already trying to punish Rhino and Raheen. It's not looking great for Pockets here.
Yeah, Ignite already ticking. Heal already used. Raheen going aggressive here on the Aphelios Thresh combo. And this is a bot lane that has a whole lot of volatility. Short Hop and Bacchus considered one of the strongest bot lanes, I would say, by many in the amateur scene. And Raheen and Rhino, while they are very strong, they are the most inexperienced players on this Zeus Gaming lineup. And so they have had their times of struggles. They've had their times of success. And going into this final matchup of the group stage, they're going off on the right foot.
Yeah, and I do want to point out, too, that when you run a Ziggs bot lane, we usually see Teleport being picked up, not a combat summoner. So that's one of the reasons why you don't see Ziggs getting hyper-aggressive in the early game. You will lose out in terms of those trades. Josie was coming in from behind, but will get spotted out by the ward. Raheen, Rhino, they're just going to play it safe. They're going to continue shoving in, but it's up against a Zig. And Short Hop will be more than happy to sit back and just farm this up here in the short term.
Yep, and so far, pretty heavy priority on both of the side lanes for Zeus Gaming. Alorum having a pretty massive CS lead, getting that early push in onto Chim's Gwen. This is the matchup that he wanted in the top side, and it'll be interesting to see how this solo lane Tahm Kench will function against a champion that has been so prevalent in the meta, like this Gwen. Pockus coming in the bot lane as well, just making sure that his AD carry gets enough farm as the pressure from Alorum just continues to be very massive.
Yeah, I mean, the CS differential right now looks overwhelming, but we have to remember the wave is pushing into Chim here. The more concerning thing, though, is that Gwen usually actually wins most melee matchups, level 1 and 2, and we're already seeing that Chim is not winning that. So that's only going to get worse here as the game goes on until maybe the 1.5, 2-item power spike for this Gwen. Like I said, I'm not super sure where the breakpoints are in a Tahm Kench versus Gwen lane, but this is not a lane right now that Josie can really look to gank. Pre-6, I don't think he can even lock that Tahm Kench down. He'll probably just take that short Abyssal voyage, the Abyssal dive back to safety, and the Olaf just can't follow up.
Yeah, and both of these champions, Olaf and Gwen, don't have that hard CC to lock down this Tahm Kench. Who does have the hard CC, though, is Rhino's Thresh here, landing that hook onto Pockus. The Battle Dance out will get out with his life. And right now, a whole lot of trading back and forth, not a whole lot of action, but at the end of the day, about a 300 gold lead from Zeus just off of the farm.
Now, for the side of Zeus Gaming, they're going to be more than happy in this sort of lane state. Like we said, they don't have to make the early moves. The earliest parts of their team here, composition, is going to be that Diana Yasuo. And even then, you're looking at level 6. Tahm Kench is going to scale up just fine. Your Aphelios isn't going to really start to come online until you're at that 2-item power spike. So they're okay with it. AOE randoms, specifically Josie on this Olaf, is where they really need to try and make something happen here. Olaf falls off relatively hard, especially into a composition like this. So you want to try and get Josie a hit, but where do you gank? Your mid lane, you can see Leo is struggling. That wind wall really messing him up. And your bot lane right now is not a great place to gank. There's so much vision. Rhino and Raheen recognize that they're the most vulnerable lane, and they've been very careful about it, making sure they always have a ward in that river.
Yeah, and it's hard for Josie, as you said, RMC, to really find these places to go gank. He's trying to go for some invades, taking some camps away, but at the end of the day, Wiggly, or as I would want to say, Griffin, we're not in Season 7 anymore, still is about 2 camps ahead of his opponent. And so right now, the farm lead is going in favor of Griffin and not Josie, and with no kills going over just yet, that's a very good thing for Zeus Gaming.
Now, there are opportunities for Josie here. Despite the fact that you can't really gank a lane, Olaf can very easily sneak a dragon away. And with the strength of the Olaf, the Thresh Aphelios bot lane don't necessarily get to roam up too easily. Ziggs can always just shove the lane hard, and Tristana can also do the same. The wind wall has a fairly long cooldown at this point, 30 seconds, so you get to use it once per wave, and then Tristana just gets to shove the wave after that here. So I'm glad that they recognize that they've gone for that here, because Zeus can't contest that first dragon. It's going to be second and third Drake, but they start to look for those bigger fights.
Yep, first dragon is secured here by Josie. That's one good thing about having some early fighting power on the Olaf. And right now, that's the only advantage that AoE randoms have on the map. They're kind of getting pushed in on a lot of different areas. And we see here, Griffin and Tuesday, this bot mid jungle duo, are making an invade here onto the enemy Raptors. They will get spotted out by Josie, but that's the double ultimate combo already coming through. First blood picked up by Griffin, and it looks like the fight's going to continue to go down. Pockus coming in as well onto the roam. Rhino is just behind. Good peeling out of the Rakan to keep the mid laner alive.
And you could see from both these teams that they were very ready for that. The roam up from Pockus already suggested that they were looking to make a play, but Griffin and Tuesday, they just know their breakpoints. They were waiting for that level 6. Literally, as soon as they got that Raptor, they were ready to go there. They were immediately going to punish, and they can continue to do that. Leo got away this time, but did have to burn Flash. Will not have that available the next time that Moonfall, that last breath, is back up and ready.
Yeah, and that's one of the intricacies about this Diana-Olaf matchup. Olaf didn't have the ultimate, and without making any plays, was not able to do anything, though. Raheen could be in a bit of trouble, fighting a 1v2, but he's going to flash forward with the chakrams, take a kill on the Pockus, and there's the Moonlight Vigil as well. It's now a 1v1. Mega Inferno Bomb is going to go. The flash from Short Hop into the brush will secure a 1v1 for his health. But now Josie is up here in the 1v2. Rocket jump in from Leo as well. Ragnarok already popped. Griffin is running under his tower for safety. Looks like no kills over just yet, but now with the CC and vulnerability gone, Josie is the target here. Flay back, Tuesday in. Griffin survives with less than 10 HP, and another kill goes over to Zeus.
That triumph probably saves Griffin there. It was really, really close. And you can see that Zeus is just winning this out stylely. Starting right off the bat with that sort of bot lane fight where we saw where Raheen got caught. I want to emphasize the fact that Raheen got caught. That was a 2v1. And the fact that Raheen found a kill before he went down is really bad for AOE random. Sure, Short Hops gets a kill as well to return, but it sets up for everything that happened after that. The way that we saw Zeus able to pull in and get a numbers advantage. And Josie should just not have gone in at that point. You know that you're disadvantaged. Just leave. There's really no advantage to... There's nothing for you to get here. You're diving, it's risky, and they just end up giving a free kill back over. Josie's set further behind, and Griffin's now up almost, what, 21 CS right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty massive jungle lead here for Griffin. Might try to make it a little bit more with the taking of this first Rift Herald. And now, with this Diana already so accelerated, having that ultimate online, working towards that Hextech rocket belt, Josie's going to have a really difficult time doing anything, getting bullied out of his own jungle by the mid laner of all people. And so right now, Josie's going to have to try to find some plays without Griffin intervening, or else it's going to be really, really scary for the side of AOE randoms.
Yeah, they rotated Raheen and Rhino up for this Herald take as well. So there is a bit of a shove coming through from Short Hop, and you have to be careful with Ziggs as well. He can take a turret very, very quickly. They did manage to get 2 plates, so that is a nice chunk of gold in their pocket, but they're still down 1,500 gold at just shy of 10 minutes right now here. And yeah, you can see the gold distribution as well. Top side, there's already a bit of a deficit, but it's really the jungle. That's more than 1,000. Yeah, that is all in the favor of Griffin here, and I'm just waiting to see where Griffin goes with this moonfall. You don't have to pair it with that last breath. If you go to the bot lane, you can catch the Ziggs. The damage that you and the Aphelios have is going to be more than sufficient to burst either the Rakan or the Ziggs.
Yeah, definitely so. And yeah, Griffin basically has free reign over the entire map, working with Tuesday to try and make things happen. Up in the top side, just a little bit of a cheeky trade by Alorum, already picking up that Bramble Vest to try and combat some of the sustain that Gwen inherently has in her kit. Obviously, the AP into the armor doesn't feel the best, but you're getting the Grievous Wounds regardless.
Yeah, and that's it as well for this top side. Gwen is actually very weak in this matchup. When she's behind, going bot, they caught them.
Yeah, there's the roots coming in. Short Hop is very, very dead. Jungle fight already happening as well. Ragnarok popped on to Josie, and Tuesday will run out to safety. Pocket's coming in with the quickness, gonna charm up 3, but will it even matter? That's the last breath onto 2, and Rhino secures the kill onto Pockets. Now 4v2 into Zeus's favor. Not gonna look good for the randoms. They'll get one in return, but at what cost? 4 go down for AOE.
At a very high cost. That's a 4-for-1, Grapes. You watch the way the fight started as well, right? We talked about the fact that Griffin, with this moonfall, you can look bot, you can brute force that. And that's precisely what they did. They got Short Hop, pardon me, did immediately, and Pockets was low. He tried to go back into help, but you just don't have enough health. And you've got to keep in mind the amount of knockups, right? We talk so much, we focus so much on Moonfall Last Breath, but you've got the flay. That's what we saw there. Alorum also has the Abyssal Dive. That is also a knockup which can hit multi-champions. So there's a lot of setup here for Tuesday, and AoE randoms need to be aware of that. They need to play around it.
Oh my goodness, Chim is going for a chase onto Alorum, but the Abyssal Dive has so much range. Conqueror already popped. Chim is going to dive under the tower, but the Frog is too tanky. Pockets coming in with the flash, but he's not going to do much with that. Forced to use that dive out of the way. Doesn't look like the flash went very far, to say the least. Dragon picked up on the other side in return.
Yeah, that was kind of rough. I think Pockets thought he could get a bit more range. Maybe he messed up the timing of it. But either way, they don't tag Alorum. And this is what happens when you play against Zeus here. You have to kind of deal with Alorum taking over a lane, and then you start spending resources. It takes 2, it takes 3 to take him down. And while that's happening, everybody else is getting advantage everywhere else on the map, and Zeus just starts becoming a huge problem. Pockets is spending more time, I think, at this point, running away than actually being able to go in. And it's because you've fallen behind. You're a level down from Rhino. You're 2 levels down from Raheen, and 3 or 4 from all the others. So Pockets, it's so risky for him to engage, and AoE randoms, they suddenly have to sit back. They have to look for poke, but Zeus just isn't giving them that space to breathe.
Yeah, and Rhino has been really crucial in a lot of these disengages. You think of Thresh as both an engage and a disengage champion, and the flay out from the grand entrances have been pretty huge, not letting Pockets get some of those crucial engages. We will see if that'll change now, though. Rhino is getting under fire. Gore Drinker already popped here. The Ragnarok is used. The explosive shot will finally take down the kill, but Josie will fall in return with a nice moonfall. Rift Herald popped into the mid lane, will take down about 2 plates right before they fall. Big gold going over to the mid jungle duo once again. Just a 1-for-1, but that's all you're going to want to get if you're AoE.
I wonder if that was a misclick there from Griffin, because he just dropped Herald in the middle of nowhere. Oh, yeah, they can't kill Tuesday. Yeah, Herald dropped just as they were getting engaged on, which might have changed.
Oh, Tuesday. Oh, the ultimate's coming through. It's a 2v1, but can Leo survive? The wind wall's blocking out some of the auto attacks from the explosive shot. That bomb's not going to do a whole lot of damage. Tuesday fighting in a 1v2 and doing whatever he wants in this mid lane.
I thought the engage from Tuesday was sketch, but what is sketch is that he actually managed to almost pull it off. Alorum still hunting Jim here, and Jim's just barely able to survive this top lane. They're constantly getting bullied, and I think AoE randoms at this point, maybe you let a turret drop, maybe you start grouping up, because your lanes aren't working out for you here.
Well, it looks like they might have heard you, RMC. First tower going down into the middle lane will allow a bit more breathing room for the random squad to just try and pick up some waves, try and stall out this gold lead. And even if they don't take this game, RMC, that lost game time definitely is still super important. So if you're the randoms, you don't want to lose super quickly, even if that happens. So even sometimes there's the argument of ending the game quickly for mental. Not going to be a case here.
Yeah, definitely not. You're going to be struggling for every scrap of time here that you can pull out. But their composition isn't exactly ideal for stalling. The Ziggs is great. Tristana's got decent wave clear, but Olaf, Gwen, they're not exactly the best at it. And more importantly, I don't think Zeus is going to give them the opportunity to do so. So far, Zeus has done an immaculate job with their rotations here. They're letting Raheen farm, but they're also applying pressure heavily into that mid lane, into that top lane. And now that the mid lane turret has gone down right now, Zeus needs to pick another lane to play through. And I'm looking at the top side because Herald's about to spawn. So you want that strength up there. Leo?
Ooh, just misses away from that tornado. Taking a look at the gold as we approach the 15-minute mark. Things are looking very dire in the jungle. It's about a 4,000 gold lead for Zeus Gaming, but half of that is just onto Griffin. So very massive lead. Big shutdown to boot as well, just showing the amount of power disparity that there is.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the mid and top as well right now too, because Alorum might not have the most gold on his team, but what he has done is make Chim the second poorest member of his team. So the Gwen's taking longer to come online than you might otherwise see. And Tuesday is definitely up there. Sure, the discrepancy in gold isn't that high, but that's more because Leo's been able to pick up farm. He's ranged. And it's less about how farmed this is Tristana, and it's more about how quickly can this Yasuo kill this Tristana. And right now, it's very fast.
There's some sort of quote, like, I think Odd once said it about Nunu. Like, the goal is not to be useful, but just make your opponent less useful than you. And I think that's kind of what's happening here in this top side. Alorum not going to be able to do that much in terms of damage come some of the team fights, but definitely going to be making some team plays like we see right here. Tuesday up on the top side now, going up against Chim in this 1v1. The first tower has been taken in the top side for Zeus, and looks like AoE randoms have responded down bottom with short hop and pockets, but the lane prios in all of the map are going towards Zeus.
Yeah, Zeus definitely a lot more control, but they do have to be careful now that they're pushing out this way. If you look at the war vision here, it's all AoE random favor because it is their side of the map, and so it's easier for them to look for picks. And speaking of picks, have they found Tuesday?
Yep, Pockets coming in, using that quickness to draw Tuesday in a 1v3. Can he do anything? Gonna use the last breath only onto one due to the Ragnarok. Finally, the shutdown goes over. Josie picks up a much needed kill onto the Yasuo.
And that's what happens when you only clear one side of the map, right? You could see all of Zeus rotating to that bot side. They were clearing as they go. Great job. They were setting up for this Inferno Drake that is coming up. But the problem is that Tuesday is topside and is not running teleport. This is a Yasuo with Ignite here, so he has to walk back out. Didn't have a lot of escape options here. And sure, you get the dragon, but you probably have gotten that anyways. You did give, I believe it was a shutdown, 150 gold shutdown over to Josie, to this Olaf who's in desperate need of extra gold right now.
Yep, that second dragon has gone over. The Rift Herald was also popped into the bottom lane to just add even more pressure onto that bot side for AoE randoms. On the other side, we see Leo pushing up top, trying to get any scrap of gold that he can. And that's really going to be important if you're AoE randoms.
Yeah, for AoE randoms right now, they don't have a great win con necessarily. The issue is their damage. Their burst isn't quite high enough to kill anybody. If you go for the Diana, she's got a shield that's a wind wall for the Yasuo, not to mention the shield bow. And Alorum is a Tahm Kench who is just as tanky as he ever was. So you're realistically only able to kill Raheen. And Raheen has not really put himself in a bad position so far. Every time we see Raheen pushed up, Rhino's waiting in his back pocket here to just lantern him to safety. So AoE randoms, they need to reestablish the vision here and look for a flank, look for a pick. If you're running through that front door, it's never going to work. Yasuo and Diana will happily let you through that front door and they'll kill everybody in your house. Meanwhile, Alorum and Rhino will be able to buy enough time. So you've got to find a flank, and it's got to be from Josie or Chim.
Yeah, and right now Zeus has set up a bit of a 1-3-1 here. Tuesday up in the top side, Alorum down bottom. Might have just kind of broken down as soon as I said that. One other caster curse coming your way, but this split push style is definitely pretty valuable on the side of Zeus Gaming. You have this Yasuo who can fight 1v2, 1v3. And on the other side, you have Alorum who's able to push these waves and use that Abyssal Dive out to safety if any danger comes to way.
Yeah, it's a lot about lane assignments at this point for Zeus in terms of how they want to split push. You could see that originally when they took the mid and top turrets, they instantly rotated Alorum down to the long lane here because the Tahm Kench is safer, has more escapes, and is tankier. Whereas if you let Tuesday split push in a long lane without the safety, well, we've seen the Yasuo does do a lot of damage. You've got lifesteal, but you can also be burst down by multiple members. So it's not quite as safe as the Tahm Kench. And I think we need to see a bit more vision being set up from Zeus to enable this split push if they want to go 1-3-1. Otherwise, I think the 1-4 is just as good for them. Let Alorum continue split pushing in the side lane and threaten with that Diana Yasuo combo. The problem for them is there's no neutral objectives to fight on open ground. And if they split 4-1, the 4 can't actually dive a turret just yet here.
Yeah, not just yet. 20 minutes into this game, and Zeus have a firm grasp onto this game one over AoE random, sitting at about 5k up, having priority in all three lanes. It's 3 towers to 1 as all the outers have fallen. And right now, things are really just all about that Diana Yasuo combo. We got Griffin and Tuesday on the pairing. Definitely just have so much prio here, are able to fight and basically solo kill anybody on the other team.
Remember, Graves, I said there wasn't anything quite ready to fight over yet. We're past 20 minutes. Baron has spawned. There is now something, that they can actually look for right now. And you've got Ziggs who can give you poke, who can give you a little bit of vision as well. But it's definitely doable. You have enough damage to shred down Baron, and more importantly for Zeus, it's less about the Baron and more about trying to draw AoE randoms out. I want to see them continue to contest for vision in this top quadrant of the map, deny everything, and set up for a pick. Because AoE randoms will have to walk in there. They only have one blue trinket on Leo, and it's currently on cooldown, so they'll have to face check it.
Yeah, in terms of getting picks, though, AoE randoms definitely need to get some of them, as you said, but it's going to be hard because even if you stick multiple members onto a champion, we saw how Raheen outplayed that 1v2 in the bottom lane. Now with another item in his belt, has so much burst with that Gale Force ultimate combo. It's going to be pretty scary for anybody on AoE randoms to try and get anything. And even if they do get a kill in return, this Zeus Gaming's macro has been immaculate so far this series, so far throughout Proving Grounds. And so if you make one play on one side, they're definitely going to make one on the other.
And for now, it looks like Zeus is targeting that dragon here. They are looking to stack that. And it is a lot easier to take than the Baron. The Baron has a factor of risk. The dragon effectively has none. The only thing you have to watch out for is that Ziggs Mega Inferno Bomb trying to steal it away. You can already see they've cleared all the vision. I think there's one ward left in the entire... Is there even one? Nope. All of it has been cleared out right now. And if you're at the side of AoE randoms, you don't even look at this dragon. You let it go.
Short Hop might be in a bit of trouble. Has the satchel here for some defensive capabilities, but Rhino has a massive hook. The AD carry for AoE randoms is already down. Might have some more casualties onto the random side. Ragnarok already popped by Josie. Alorum has so much range on that Abyssal Dive, and with the AD carry of the randoms down, it's going to be Zeus pushing down and taking that inner turret.
He outplays Graves. For a second, Short Hop looked like he got enough distance, and then he takes the satchel charge, but it was all predicted, all red here. And remember, and now they're trying to dive these turrets. They can do that 5v4. Moonfall, Last Breath still available. Knockups aplenty right now for Zeus, and they get an inhibitor. They brute force it down off a single pick. Dragon is up. Baron is up. The Rift is Zeus Oyster.
Yeah, and just that amount of pressure is available here. You thought that the team that would be taking towers fast was the AoE randoms with that Tristana Ziggs, but if you're about 6,000 gold ahead, 22 minutes in, getting one pick, that inhibitor, obviously, no sort of competition there. Gonna be down. The first major objective has fallen into the AoE randoms base. And so, as you said, RMC, Zeus are in a very good position to try and close this game out. AoE randoms, though, need to try and make some plays onto the side lanes as we see them up here in the top side.
Yeah. Now, taking the inhibitor down, it's sort of a bit of a mixed blessing right now, because on the one hand, it's going to apply a lot of pressure onto AoE randoms. You have no vision in that mid lane whatsoever. Those supers are going to be constantly pushing. Randoms will have to send somebody in to clear that wave every once in a while, and that's going to lose control on the objectives. But on the other hand, for Zeus, you now have a lane that you're never going to get gold from. So if you're going to take it slow, like we've seen in the last 5 minutes here, they will actually lose more gold than the side of AoE random. So before I already said, I want to see them clear out that top quadrant and bait out the Baron. It's even more imperative now that they do something here, that they do apply that pressure, because there's no dragon. There's only the Baron really to force in terms of major neutral objectives, and your super minions aren't going to be able to push in hard enough by themselves. You've got to apply pressure somewhere else to help them.
But RMC, I would argue that Zeus Gaming are okay with just kind of being in this position and just having this continued pressure. Don't really need to make any proactive plays. They have the scaling composition with this Diana Yasuo, even the Aphelios, continuing to build towards that Infinity Edge as a third item. And honestly, I think it's AoE randoms that need to try and get onto the right foot and make a play right now.
Yeah, but for random, since they kind of can't whatsoever here, Graves, they're going to be content just farming it up. We already seeing some of the CS numbers not necessarily hurt quite as bit. And we talked about the fact that it was a 2k gold lead in the jungle position between Griffin and Josie. It's still at a 2k gold lead. And now that you're cresting 10k for Griffin here, as we can see there, almost at 11k gold, that 2k gold difference means a lot less here. So if you're the side of AoE randoms, yeah, sure, you want to push the pace, but considering how far behind you are, this time to try and catch up is much more impactful.
Yeah, definitely so. And still, a lot of the vision in the AoE randoms jungle is not there. Zeus have continued their priority across the map. Now Baron is going to be started up at the 25-minute mark, but AoE randoms really can't do anything about it. They have Rhino and Alorum here to scout out any sort of invasion into the enemy jungle. Pockets and Josie are going to try their hardest. The Ziggs bomb is going to come in, but not do enough damage. Baron goes over to Griffin, and the fight might have begun. Zeus probably will be content with just trying to back out with those Baron-empowered recalls, and AoE randoms will try to do the same.
Yeah, for the side of Zeus here, they do have some gold in their pocket to spend. But it's not a huge amount. I don't think it's actually going to complete any items for them here. So they might just want to push as hard as they can, right? Baron buff lasts for 3 minutes. And during that time, if you want to maximize the use of it to get as many turrets down as possible, ideally to break inhibitors. And when you've got supers already pushing down the mid lane, it's just so much easier to siege with Baron buff, right? You just go to a side lane. Tuesday.
Might have gotten caught out here. A big chunk of damage. Shield bow already used. But here come the ultimates. Here comes the damage. Needlework going to come in, and Chim is still at full HP. The Moonlight Vigil will miss, and all of a sudden, Zeus is on the run. Josie is here. Pocket's going to land a knockup, but only onto one. Raheen will pick up the first kill, and now it's going to be Zeus pushing back forward. Moonfall will get flashed away from Josie, sitting about 40% HP. Will be forced to run away. It's only one kill going in favor of Zeus, but it looked a lot closer than that.
A game of inches here, Graves. If Pockets doesn't die here, it's so much easier for them to hold. They're still looking for one more, and if they can just find one more kill here, they can hold off the entire push. As it stands, though, they do manage to force Zeus to go back to base, or at least, it's only one person. They're going to keep on pushing. Zeus does not want to waste their Baron.
Alorum going with that back, does have the teleport if he wants to go reach his team. Important to note, Infernal Soul on the table for Zeus Gaming in about 60 seconds. They are still up here onto the top side, but they do have the Baron-empowered recalls, and they will have enough time to get over to that objective. They take down that side lane inner turret. Will give them just enough gold to buy some more items and go for another fight.
Okay, now I believe the number to beat was something like 57 minutes, roughly. Basically, for the side of AoE randoms, they're looking at roughly 30 minutes per game here. So they do not want to just get full team wiped here. Even if you lose Soul, it's critical. But you also have to keep in mind the other option. Are they really going to be able to come back from a 6-kill deficit right now? It's possible. And that's the rough decision that you have to make right now. Do you go for the epic comeback, or are you going to play it safe and look for that game 2?
Well, right now it does look like AoE randoms are going to try and contest this soul. They don't want to give over the Infernal to Zeus with all the damage dealers that they have towards the late game would add some more icing to the cake. Alorum is here onto the front line, but he's a very tanky Tahm Kench. That Infernal Dragon just spawns and Zeus have the priority. Griffin has the smite available, but so does Josie. The only difference is that the Diana is in the pit waiting for some sort of prior. The Infernal Bomb will go too quickly. Oh my goodness, Josie steals the dragon. Soul has been delayed for just a little bit longer. It will cost the Olaf his life, but a big play coming out of the AoE randoms jungler.
Okay, this isn't bad for the side of randoms here. Yes, you lose one, but you stop the soul. The question is, can you hold? And the best part is, you lost Josie. Josie wasn't going to be the big wave clear threat here for your team. It's the Leona, it's the Tristana, not Leona, and the Ziggs here who are going to do whatever they can to wave clear. They're going to lose that mid inhib again right now, but their top and bot lane inhibitor turrets are still standing. And Zeus, they don't have Baron buff anymore either. They've kind of got to reset and then try and set up once again, and by then, Josie's back up.
Yeah, and by then, the game continues to drag forward. That steal coming out from Josie could have meant the difference because it'll be another 5 minutes until that soul spawns. So it's a 2.5 minutes until the Baron, 4 minutes until the soul, and that is enough time for AoE randoms to be comfortable with this game time going in this direction. But the scaling from AoE randoms still definitely is there, sure. Not on Josie, but the Gwen, Tristana, even the Ziggs will be able to provide some big damage. And we were talking about picks earlier, RMC. If they can get onto one of these squishy carries before a fight begins, it could be pretty big.
Yeah, and AoE randoms, I mean, they're showing how resilient they are. That's one thing I've always praised them for, is how good their mentals are in terms of just never really giving up, never really saying die here. So I'm very glad to see them continue looking for this here. Now, their scaling isn't exactly great, but we already talked about the fact that Ziggs late game, his poke really does hurt quite a bit. There's not a lot of lifesteal for Raheen. So if you do manage to land poke onto this Aphelios, it will stick. And even for this Yasuo, sure, you've got an Immortal Shield Bow. That is some lifesteal in your kit. You've got another Vamp Scepter, which is likely looking to be maybe a Bloodthirster here. But again, the damage that you put out is more. And if they pick their fights, we've already seen some of the 5v5s get a little bit close, a little bit on that knife's edge, despite the 10k gold gap.
10k gold gap is... I didn't even realize the gold was that high up, but just shows how powerful this wave clear of AoE randoms is. They have the Tristana Ziggs. While it can do a good job at pushing the towers, also does a good job at kind of clearing these waves. Pockets, though, can have been a little bit out of position, but is pretty tanky. Ultimate has not been popped just yet. Will be jet right now. Leo dashing in onto Raheen, going to be a 1v1 to the 80 carries. Raheen uses that heal to get out, but now he gets rooted up, and Wiggly will take him down. Fourth kill of the game for the Zeus Gaming jungler. Josie has gotten hooked up, forced to use that ultimate, and now it's a 5v4. Zeus are in control. Alorum going to dash forward with the Abyssal Dive. Pockets doing his best to try and peel. Alorum is going to eat up Josie. Call it the lunch money. Rhino will pick it up, and Raheen is just in the base by himself. 5v3, might be 5v2 in just a little bit. Pockets is so low. The dash forward from Alorum will secure another 3 straight kills for Zeus, and it's Chim and Short Hop against the world.
Zeus is just waiting for the minion wave. There's a super in this wave here, and Short Hop doesn't even have enough time to replenish all his mana.
Tuesday dashing forward, looking for that last Tempest. Alorum will dash forward once again. The first Nexus tower is gone. 7 seconds on Leo, but it might not be that much until the game ends. Short Hop going to be using the satchel charge defensively. Chim doing his best with the needlework, but the Nexus has been exposed. 5v3, here comes Leo. Can they do anything? Double kill coming over to Chim. Gonna try and make it 3. He'll fall, but what can Leo do? Gonna rocket jump forward. The wind wall will block the damage for now. Crits coming in. Onto the bomb. Have another. Zeus have fallen, and it looks like AoE might have found a return. Tuesday goes down and make it 4.
The Nexus is wide open here, Graves. There are no Nexus turrets whatsoever. Backdoor is possible, but there's no TP here, and everybody's down. Baron is up and available. AoE randoms should be able to pick this up. Is it enough to come back to the game? I don't know. I don't think so, but they also just managed to turn a desperate Nexus fight.
Raheen is the only one alive here, but the Baron has already gone under fire. Remember that this Aphelios has so much damage, sitting at 7, 2, and 4. The only question is, will he get bursted out first? Short Hop does have the teleport, could be looking to use it in case of any sort of intervention. 5k onto the Baron, and it looks like Raheen knows better than to try and go for a miracle steal. AoE randoms have stalled this game out to 32.5 minutes, and all of a sudden they have a Baron buff in their hands.
30 seconds till Inferno Grapes. And the last time we saw Josie pull off a miracle steal, but this time Zeus is gonna get there first here. And again, AOE randoms fighting for their lives. If they give this up, it's great. You have Baron, but the combat stats from Inferno are so much better here. And they're scared to leave the base. You can see they're trying to make sure they've got people back there to defend it. You've got triple teleports though, so I think they just go for this.
I mean, they're going to have to make some sort of play soon. The Infernal Dragon has spawned and no members of the randoms are here. It looks like they're just going to give this over. Infernal Soul, unless Short Hop has some sort of miracle steal, not going to happen. Griffin's going to pick it up, and all of a sudden, looks like the Zeus players got a little bit scarier.
Yeah, and AOE randoms just got a full base right now. Everybody's got to be there for this fight. Keep in mind that Zeus, you know, if you can get the damage down on the Nexus here, that's good enough. So it's really on AOE randoms who have to force the fight here. You cannot let Zeus get in range and stay in range of that Nexus. One inhibitor goes down and lost breath.
Oh my goodness, boom! There goes Short Hop, there goes Josie. The comeback looked like it might have started to happen. Shim is going to have to do his best in a 1v4 kill over to Tuesday, but he already fell. Here comes Leo with the resets on the rocket jump. The Q will miss, and it looks like Griffin is going to go down. A double kill for Leo. Making another. It's Chim now stuck in a 1v2. Raheen and Alarm, they just have to hit the Nexus, but can Chim do anything about it? The Felios has the blue and the purple guns, and Chim is going to try and save the game. Just a couple minutes off of the Nexus. The ace comes through. Raheen with the stopwatch will save his life. And Zeus Gaming are going to take game one of this best of three.
Oh my goodness, Grapes. This is an incredible way to start this series. It is down to the wire. And I did get an update, apparently, that the tiebreaker will not be decided by what we had originally thought. It's not going to be about longest game times. It has been decided it's going to be about your fastest victory, how quickly you won your games. And AOE randoms is unfortunately the slowest of the three teams. So AOE randoms, their backs up against the wall. They need a win to make it into the playoffs. After watching game one, I think they can pull at least one win off.
Thing is, RMC, it can't just be a win. It's got to be a quick win. You saw how long that game one took, about 35 minutes. Until Zeus ended up pounding down on the Nexus. But as you said, with these fastest win timers being the key to the tiebreakers, if AOE randoms want to get their time down, they're gonna have to. I mean, it's not possible at this point. Like they just can't. They're gonna need that win to keep the game score alive and to have a chance at advancing. They're gonna have to just do it the hard way.
Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, the way they played here, the mechanics are there. Their understanding of how to play the game is there. What just happened was it felt like they were overwhelmed in the beginning of that game there. They just kind of got run over a little bit, right? And you've got to respect this Diana Yasuo composition coming through here. You've got to know right away that when they hit 6, that is one of their big power spikes with a composition like the Tristana, like the Ziggs, like the Gwen. None of their ultimates are huge team fight ultimates. You're not game-breaking ultimates here, right? So just play a little bit more passively. When you get on into like, you know, the 25, 30-minute range, we saw Leo really start to come on. We saw Short Hop pumping out the damage. Chim on this Gwen as well, really starting to be able to do stuff. So I think AOE randoms just need to play a bit more to their win compositions here. Respect your opponent's power spikes and just avoid them. You've got the mechanics to come back after.
One win will secure AOE randoms a spot in the quarterfinals. 2 wins for AOE randoms will secure them first seed. That's going to be the conversation here as we load into the draft for game 2. We're going to take a short break. Everyone catch your breath, take a drink of water, because that was a crazy game 1. And I think there's going to be a couple more just like that. We'll see you there. Welcome back, everybody, to the EGL Summer Showdown Game 2 between Zeus Gaming and AOE Random's RMC. And we had a pretty wild Game 1, to say the least. Zeus Gaming looked like they had a pretty big lead, looked like they were going to take the game pretty convincingly, but AOE Randoms were able to stall it out with their wave clear, have a couple of really big fights to maybe make it look like the game wasn't just over. But at the end of the day, Zeus is the one who took it.
Yeah, definitely. Leo and Short Hop showed up massive at the end there, just desperately trying to hold off whatever they could. But realistically, if you are AOE randoms, you don't want to put yourself in that position in the first place here. You don't want to fall that deep in a hole. They were 10K down for a large chunk of the end game for the most part. So maybe a bit of changes here. The problem is looking through their bans in the first half. AoE randoms banned Lucian, Shinzao, and Varus. And I think all three of those bans are really, really solid. But you need a way to either deal with the Diana Yasuo or you need to ban one of them here. And because the teams are keeping the same side, Zeus does get first pick again. And I think maybe you open up the Lucian and ban the Diana instead.
Yeah, I mean, there's just such a champion ocean on Tuesday. I believe in the past 2 weeks, 17 unique champions have been banned against him that have been played in the mid lane at some point. So just really just shows how wide of a pool that Tuesday has. And so taking away one of the endless amount of picks that he has up his sleeve might not be the worst thing if it means that you're able to take away this Diana Yasuo synergy that we're seeing here that we saw there in game 1. And it worked really well, especially in the early game. But I agree with you, RMC, with that jungle matchup. Griffin looked like the better jungler the entire game. Maybe some steals there from Josie towards the end. It's kind of salvaged it a little bit, but I mean, Josie was on the early game champion, wasn't able to make too many plays, and it just allowed Griffin to just snowball.
Yeah, and I do want to point out that the Olaf pick for Josie here was the R5 pick. It was the last pick of the game. It was your counter pick, and it really didn't feel like a counter. We didn't get to see the Olaf bully out the Diana. In fact, Josie was losing control of the jungle very, very quickly. The fact that they didn't have winning lanes on the top side of the map, Tuesday and Aloran were just able to back up Griffin over and over and over again. And suddenly Josie was reduced to only 1/4 of the map in terms of what he could comfortably farm here. So I think if you are going to go that way here for AoE randoms, if you do see that Diana, if you're going to let that through and you see the Diana show up on the other side here, if you're going to pick an early game jungler, you got to pick the lanes to back him up. If not, go for something that scales, that can match that Diana so that you are a bit more of a factor past that 20-minute mark.
Yeah, and Josie definitely has a decently wide champion pool. You have things like Lee Sin, if you want to go for that early game route, or if you want to shift towards that later stage, you have the Viego that he played super well in one of the recent games. And so there's a lot of different playstyle possibilities for Josie, and for AoE randoms, they're definitely in need of a win right here, right now. And I know the tiebreaker rules here at EGL have been a bit confusing. We're getting updates basically through our ears as we're casting the game, so we apologize for any sort of any mishaps here. I actually got like a Twitter DM from Maddie, the jungler from Supernova, who's like watching our stream and then like is letting me know like what's going on with the tiebreakers. But basically what's going to happen here, I think I got this figured out, RMC. Randoms need a win to get second in this group, to get out of this group stage. Otherwise, if they lose, it will be Dignitas Mirage versus Supernova in a 1-game tiebreaker to determine who moves on alongside Zeus Gaming.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So AoE random's backs are really up against the wall here. This game is make it or break it. If you win this game, not only do you qualify as a second seed, but you also get a chance to still beat Zeus and make first seed. But a loss here, you're instantly eliminated. And we are straight into drafts. Once again, Zeus on the blue side, AoE randoms on red side. And Zeus, they just go with the same ban here. The Jace coming through. I'd be surprised if they banned the Kassadin again, because that's not really a Leo champ. I'm not really sure what that one is about here. I think I'd rather see a Ziggs ban come out, because Short Hop on that Ziggs was what really kept them in the game.
Well, that Lucian will remain off the table here for Tuesday. So the question is, what are the other things that AoE randoms are willing to give up? Champions like that Diana still on the table. The Jin Zhao once again getting taken away. The Ziggs is going to be the difference, RMC, as you said, as Zeus are going to take that pick away from Short Hop.
And now AoE randoms, they banned Varus before here, and Raheen has shown a propensity for that champion. But if you do decide to ban the Diana here, Yeah, I think that's a better
Okay.
call. And it's not necessarily going to be a first pick Varus coming through from Zeus right now. The ADC pool is very rarely first pick worthy unless we're talking about that Ziggs right now. We are seeing a lot of different priorities. Thresh, much safer. I mean, you can still go with the Varus with that Thresh, or the Aphelios is still there. We saw Raheen do very well on that Aphelios. Maybe not that huge AOE team fight tool that we're used to seeing, but the Gravitum use was excellent to be able to catch out Short Hop or Leo or just multiple priority targets here.
Yep, and I think that Rhino on this Thresh makes a whole lot of sense. He had some really great hooks to just not only get Zeus ahead to start the game off, but also to solidify the win later on. We saw that massive 3-man flay into the last breath from Tuesday, sometime in the middle of the game, which basically took the lead that was pretty small and made it a whole lot bigger. And so I'm excited to see Rhino put another performance up on this champion. On the other side, though, that Gwen is still going to go through, still serves as that bit of a flex pick that can go into one of the 3 lanes.
Yeah, and on top of that, I mean, Gwen is just such a strong pick in general. Here, Chim might have gone down in lane, but it's still, a fairly comfortable pickup here. I don't know if we'll see a Tahm Kench Ben necessarily come out. There are other counters to the Gwen, so it's not that huge a deal. Tristana being picked up as well, and that was someone I was kind of interested to see if they go for the Varus here to deny it, or whether they go for the Tristana again. And Tristana can be flexed down again. Short Hop does play a mean Tristana himself here. Ooh, okay. An early Lee Sin pickup. I've not been a fan of jungle Lee Sin too much, but considering that, the Xin Zhao is taken away, Diana is taken off, those were sort of the big prio junglers, I think Lee Sin jungle is not a bad idea, especially when you combine it with a LeBlanc mid. That is a kill lane if you do that.
Yeah, and once again, Diana Yasuo for game 1, Lee Sin LeBlanc for game 2. Griffin and Tuesday are going to be in for a whole world of hurt, as they're going to be putting in tons of damage here into this mid lane, especially towards that early stages of the game. Tristana will be an interesting matchup if it ends up going mid, but once again, still flexible, can still go down to the bot lane. The Nautilus here for Pakis is big. We've seen some really key engages out of him. The question is, how does this flexibility for random shape up as we head into the second phase of the draft?
Well, I mean, I think that Nautilus pickup here is the only thing that's really locked in, right? That's your support. I would be very confused if we see a Nautilus jungle. So Tristana, Gwen, though, those can still be flexed around. And for AoE randoms here, I'm thinking maybe even a Rumble jungle coming out for Josie here. I know it's not exactly meta, but it does do so much in terms of in the mid to late game. And considering, again, how that early game for the jungle went, Josie doesn't necessarily need to gank the lanes here. If you can play a bit more passively. Tahm Kench is taken away. And I was actually wondering about this because LeBlanc doesn't have a ton of counters right now. Usually the counters have been things that either nullify the LeBlanc like a Galio, or if you're APA who just played a Scion mid to try and deal with the LeBlanc, you nullify it. Or it's been that Lissandra pick. But Lissandra is very, very niche. And I'm actually not sure if Leo plays that. I know Leo has a huge champion Ocean. So Zeus, they're just going to ban it just in case. Take it out here. And yeah, I was going to say AoE randoms, you know that they need an AD carry. Why not just take out the Aphelios away from the Thresh? You can always pick Varus here. Though laning Tristana into LeBlanc gets kind of dicey. So if they're feeling spicy, if they're that confident in Leo trying to handle that matchup, they can deny away the Varus.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do because, as you said, RMC, that Varus has been a really key pick for the side of Zeus Gaming. That's why it was banned in the first phase in last game. And yeah, basically, if you're Zeus Gaming, if Varus is up, you're going to pick it for Raheen. And that's kind of been the story of the Zeus squad so far. And with Wukong now taken off the table for Chim, it'll be interesting to see if AoE randoms do opt into that AD carry versus LeBlanc matchup, or if they'll give the Varus over. Looks like they're going to be choosing the former here with this hover and now the lock.
Okay, and I've got mixed feelings about this because, again, I think denying the Varus is very important. Short Hop plays very good Varus as well. It's just that mid matchup becomes very rough for Leo here. LeBlanc can burst down Tristana fairly easily, and with the way the distortion works as well, it's difficult to buffer the rocket jump quickly enough to actually avoid the distortion. The travel time for distortion is fairly quick, and when you combine that with the mobility that Lee Sin offers here, I expect to see Zeus cap the living heck out of that mid lane right away. And Jinx works with Thresh as well. That's your hyper carry. Alorum hovering that Urgot here. It's Alorum's most played champion by far in amateur right now. And I'm into the Gwen as well. That is a matchup he's very comfortable with. He was picking that even before people had good counters to Gwen.
Yeah, and the Urgot for Alorum The two are almost synonymous as it gets locked in here to round out the Zeus composition for game 2. That Lee Sin will be going towards the jungle for Griffin. This is a pick that obviously, as a jungler who's been around for a really long time in the League of Legends scene, obviously Griffin's going to be pretty comfortable on this Lee Sin. And so even though it's not necessarily a pick that RMC I know that you're super a big fan of, I think that they definitely can make it work, especially when combined with this LeBlanc up against the Tristana. And on the other side, we're going to see a Gragas lock in here. We're still not sure of where these champions are going.
Okay, I think, yeah, because Gwen could technically go into the jungle as well here. And it's actually not a terrible matchup into the Lee Sin. If you time the Hallowed Mist right, you can deny the Lee Sin Q. So then he can't just engage onto you. And if you're both standing there actually trading, Gwen actually wins that sort of extended auto fight with the snips as well. So it'll be interesting to see where they send this. I actually do favor the Gragas into the Urgot rather than the Gwen here. But if you do decide to send Gwen into the jungle for AoE randoms, you're also sacking any sort of early game pressure from the jungle. Your lanes are going to be fairly isolated. For the most part here, Gwen is not a great ganker, whereas you compare that to the Lee Sin. We talked about Lee Sin LeBlanc. Same thing applies to the Urgot as well, right? There is a lot of damage to come through, and granted, they're both physical damage, so once you build some armor, it's a lot less effective, but early game, the first couple of levels, you're not building armor.
Yeah, and something that I like to think about in terms of Gwen jungle is you're not picking Gwen to go into the jungle. You're picking Gwen to play Gwen at this point. Like you don't really need the ganks off. As long as you have this champion here, you're going to try and just scale, get some of the camps with your early game clear. And if you can get a kill, it'll be great. If not, you're still Gwen picking up some of these items towards the late game. The only problem is it's a big contrast to the composition that Zeus have set up. They have this Lee Sin LeBlanc that can not only really wreak havoc on Leo in the mid lane, but can roam around as well, impact the other lanes. And with the Gwen jungle, not going to be having the same amount of response as you might have wanted.
Now, the one lane that we do know is going to be there for sure is the Thresh Jinx versus the Nautilus Varus here. And last game, in game 1, we saw that Rhino was just roaming a lot, leaving Raheen alone on this Aphelios against this Ziggs. And you can afford to do that because as long as your reflexes are good enough, the bombs probably aren't going to hit you from the Ziggs for the most part in that 1v1. And with that Rakan, we're already seeing that the damage coming out of an Aphelios is enough to find a kill, even in a 2v1 situation. So you trade 1-for-1 at worst here, and then you kind of pressure somewhere else in the map. You don't have that advantage this time. Jinx is not a good 1v1 champion. You do not often get to leave a Jinx alone in lane without worrying about her getting dove, about getting punished, especially not into a Nautilus Varus here. The poke from the Varus is faster than the poke from Ziggs. It's harder to dodge. And like I said, short hop, very good Varus. I expect to see the poke come down. So I don't think we're going to get to see Rhino roaming up quite as much to affect the other lanes. And if anything, I want to see Paucus be the one to roam up, get some ganks in the mid lane, try and punish Tuesday a little bit, especially if he does start to get a bit antsy on this LeBlanc. If he distorts in, you know that he'll either have to go back to that mark or he gets stuck further up, right? So you can definitely punish that with a pick like Nautilus, who can bring a lot of CC to the table.
Yeah, and we're talking about Paucus, a player who really likes to go on these roams on these engaged champions. That's why we've seen so much attention on this support pool for AoE randoms in the draft, whether it was here in game 1 or in game 2 here. And seeing the Nautilus picked up in the first rotation, definitely going to be pretty big for the bot lane of randoms. You know, Paucus has been almost synonymous with crazy angles and crazy engages at this point in the Proving Ground Summer Split. There's countless amounts of highlight plays where you just have no idea how he finds the angle, but he does. And that's going to be kind of the job that he has here in this game too. With the Gwen actually going into the top lane, we are receiving word it's going to be Paucus roaming around with Josie's Gragas to try and pick up some kills in the early game.
Okay, so that changes quite a lot of the dynamics on the top side of the map, and that was what I was waiting to confirm first, because we talked about the fact that Alorum's very comfortable with this Urgot into Gwen matchup here. Chim had a bit of a rough game last game into the Tahm Kench. I'm sorry to say that's not going to change. Chim is going to continue playing weak side. Chim is very good at weak side, so I'm okay with this. More importantly, Josie on this Gragas has a lot more mobility. I'm curious to see if we do see the Predator Gragas come out. That is something that is fairly common on jungle Gragases that I like to see, especially to match this Lee Sin here. Gragas into Lee Sin is actually an okay sort of jungle matchup. It's more about how you help your lanes out. Lee Sin brings tons of damage. Gragas brings quite a bit of damage as well as some CC here. And considering that you've got a Tristana who's physical damage in the mid lane, your bot lane has a Varus, again, physical damage here. I think that's a great jungle pickup to try and assist these lanes, get some kills going here, especially into the mid lane. Once again, anything that's got CC against LeBlanc, which can be reliably applied, is very strong. And sure, the belly bump is a skill shot, but it's fairly quick. And as long as you're close enough to LeBlanc, there's a chance that you kill this LeBlanc early. And that's even before 6. After 6, when you get this explosive cask as well, I think it's going to help the AoE randoms a lot to reset the fights. If they don't like the fight they find themselves in, throw the cask in. When they're all diving in at you, separate them. If you can find a pick onto Raheen, that cask can really mess up even a lantern, because if you push them away, if there's a lantern down, you know where they're going, you can put that cask down and suddenly that lantern ends up half a screen away.
Well, the early game for AoE randoms was definitely not the greatest in game 1. And now with a heavy prio here onto the Gragas in the jungle, they're going to try and make that a little bit different here in game 2. It's do or die for the randoms, win or go home against Zeus Gaming. And we'll see what happens in just a little bit. Welcome everybody, we're here on Summoner's Rift for Game 2 between Zeus Gaming and AoE Randoms here in the EGL Summer Showdown. Last game here, and RMC, I was getting so excited, what happened?
Well, I'm not quite sure who's having problems, but actually last game we did also have a pause to start. So
This guy just didn't see it.
Yeah, hopefully we just, kind of get this done and over with. But it gives us a little bit more time to talk about the compositions coming through here for both of these teams. I know we talked a lot about it already in draft, but I think one thing that we failed to address was how these teams want to team fight, or whether they even want to team fight. Because normally when you see a Jinx picked, that team is going to run something that's going to be able to protect the Jinx, whether it be a front to back or a bunch of enchanters. We got none of that from Zeus here. You've got an Urgot, a Lee Sin, and LeBlanc. None of them are going to want to be standing in front of this Jinx here. They want to do their own thing. So it's really Rhino and Raheen versus the world, which I feel like is a very Zeus way of playing the game.
Or a very not Zeus way of playing the game. I think Raheen and Rhino have been relatively on the weak side throughout the entire game. A bit of a visual bug here. I think the game is still paused at around 32 seconds. So we'll get you guys in the game as soon as possible. I want to see it as much as y'all. So either way,
there we go.
Putting all the eggs into the Jinx boxes will be a bit scary, but I think if Zeus can play it properly, they can showcase that they have another way of playing the game, and that's going to be crucial with Proving Grounds coming up.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Alorum carry, we've seen Tuesday and Wiggly and Griffin carry here, so we know they have it in their back pocket. It's just I feel like it's going to expose Raheen a little bit more, and to me, that's an opportunity for AOE randoms
Yeah,
right now.
absolutely.
We talked a lot about what Gragas can do to a fight, but the why of what Gragas does, why would he want to interrupt the fight? Well, we've seen Leo on the Tristana already last game almost pull off 1v3s, almost pull off 1v4s when he was down 1.5 thousand gold against his lane opponent. Varus as well, if you isolate a target, you can try and find that 1v1 here. It is a hail of blades Varus, pardon me. So you can really pump out damage on a lot of these squishy targets. And again, not huge tanks coming through from Zeus. And likewise, for Chim, for this Gwen excels in duels. We see Gwen pull off crazy things with the Hallowed Mist, but the whole point of the Hallowed Mist is to reduce your opponents into a certain zone where you can fight them 1v1, where you're not worried too much about a whole bunch of people following it.
Oh man, already a big trade in the bot lane. Short Hop is dangerously low. The Ignite is ticking on him, but Raheen has the Ignite on him as well. Pockets and Rhino are the ones with the highest health at the end of the day. With a big trade of summoners in the bot side.
Yeah, everybody blew everything except for Flash for Rhino here. And it is worth noting, because this Thresh, because Rhino is perfectly willing to Flash play if he thinks he's got a kill angle here. So we'll have to keep an eye on that to see if it does make a difference.
Level 2.
Yeah, level 2 coming up already, but Pockets isn't level 2 yet. And he's the one I'm watching for a level 2 hook.
Yeah, and it looks like both the junglers are on the top sides, which means this bot lane will be in isolation for just a little bit longer. Short Hop and Pockets will eventually hit that second level after the third minion in the second wave goes down under the turret. And all of a sudden, CS pretty even down there. CS is not very even up top.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the song and dance before. Like, Chim is always going to let you shove into that first wave into the turret when he's playing weak side. So it's just par for the course right now. And it's a question of just how much CS he can pick up. He's getting the experience, which I think is the more important thing here. Mid lane, a little bit of trading. And Leo is a little worse for the wear. If it does become sort of a poke war, as long as Leo can out-sustain the mana, he'll be fine. He'll start winning once there's no more mana on Tuesday.
Yep, and now with both the junglers headed to bot side, a lot of pings hovered in that area. It's going to be Griffin getting there first, and that's a flash that nobody else has but Rhino. The junglers have finally made it, making it a 3v3. Flash body slam from Josie will secure first blood for the randoms. A trade of support so far, but looks like Griffin's going to have to get out because he is about at half HP. A nice play from Josie to win the counter engage.
Yeah, and it's a lot about that vision that AOE randoms had down early here. They knew they could rush Josie down, and the difference is where the kills go. First blood goes over to Josie, and Raheen's the one who picks it up for the bot lane. So it's nice with the Jinx, but I like it for AOE randoms. Are they going to look for the re-engage here?
Sonic Wave. No resonating strike coming out from Griffin. He knows better than to go in.
Leo's already here.
Yep, that Rift Scuttler is up and running. Probably one of the longest times we're going to see this Rift Scuttle up, but now Leo is in a bit of trouble. The chain will land, and now he's in the stuck between 4 members of Zeus Gaming. He will fall first, and it looks like Josie will go next. A double kill for Tuesday, and that is disaster for AOE randoms.
Yeah, I mean, it was good that Leo moved first, but when you saw that Tuesday was missing mid, you have to assume that Tuesday is rotating after you. They didn't have enough wards to place down behind them there, and you just need to regroup. Normally, getting flanked, well, generally speaking, getting flanked is not a good position to be in, much less when you can't actually see the assassin in the bush and you're a bunch of squishies or low health tanks.
Yeah, in the draft RMC, we talked about this mid-jungle prior that Zeus Gaming are going to have. The Lee Sin and LeBlanc have really oppressive early games, and now with Tuesday, with these 2 kills into Leo could be pretty big. Now back in the bot lane, no flash onto Rhino means he's going to get hit up with the dredge line. Hooks coming in from Rhino to try and take the short hop, and he does. Raheen will pick up the kill, and now he's getting excited, looking for another kill, looking for first place in Group D. One more rocket won't be able to take down Pockets, but the damage has been done.
Yeah, and that's the thing here that you've got to remember. When you get hit by that CC, you're not pumping out damage. When you're trying to run the calculations, sure, Short Hop looked like he'd have enough damage to win it. That's only if you get to auto attack. When you're being hit up by the death sentence, it's not just about the hook. It's about the fact that you're stuck in that hook for so long. What is it? 1.5 seconds that you can't move in. You combine that with the play as well, and it just becomes absolutely nasty. Short Hop might have just thrown away any advantages they had in this bot lane at this point. And considering that Josie's also down right now in terms of levels, in terms of camps, bot side of the map has completely swung Zeus' way. Your top side's already weak side, and Leo is now desperately trying to hold the mid alone.
The early game did not go well for AOE randoms in game 1. It's going a little bit worse here as the chains are going to land. Mimic that. Do it again, Sam. Tuesday's going to go forward. Leo to flash away. Can he have the range? The glass sigil of Malice will not do enough as Leo barely gets out with his life.
That was so close. I thought Leo was dead to rights, and the fact that Leo survives is absolutely massive because that's the one lane they have that isn't completely falling apart. And I say not completely falling apart because he is still down CES, and Tuesday did manage to pick up 2 kills earlier. So it's definitely a very, very rough lane. We talked about the fact earlier that as a Tristana, you're trading health for mana here, and when the LeBlanc runs out of mana, that's when you can start taking over a lane. That's not true anymore. Lost Chapter being picked up this early at 6 minutes into the game, Leo no longer gets to outshove this LeBlanc, and now all you get reduced to doing is kind of pinging MIA and telling your lanes, hey, back up, I don't see Tuesday anymore, I can't match roam.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, 2k gold lead here for Zeus Gaming. Even better spot than they were in game 1. We all know how that one ended up going. So right now, Zeus continuing to press their mid-jungle advantage here onto the bot side, but Rhino might have been caught out a little bit. Predator here onto Josie, but now he's going to get hooked in, and Griffin's going to dash in with the resonating strike. Kick back will secure the kill as Raheen gets his 3rd. Flash out from Pockets will keep him alive, but the Dragon is not going to be so lucky.
Good patience on Pockets there to wait out the resonating strike to follow before he flashed, gets him to safety, but frankly, it doesn't really matter at this point, right? Short Hop is stuck in the turret farming. You've lost all control of this bottom side. You see those 3 vision wards across the river here. One in the mid lane, one in the pixel bush, and one the bot side. That is a no-fly zone. Josie, you don't get to be in this bottom side of the river whatsoever. You gotta look top. You gotta look mid instead here. And it's a bit of a catch-22. Short Hop can't get help till he clears the wards, but he can't clear the wards without help. Are we gonna see a dive? Griffin,
potentially so, RMC. It looks like Griffin is here. Doesn't have the ultimate. Just going to channel the recall for now, see what happens. And it doesn't look like Zeus are going to want to take the risk with Raheen sitting at about half HP. That's probably the smarter thing right now. I mean, Zeus are having this massive advantage. Don't want to throw it all away for no reason.
Yeah. Very, very patient there. And again, Short Hop, you stepped up.
Oh, he can't walk up like that, but it looks like fighting might still continue to happen. Pocket's going to come in with the dredge line. Rhino ticking pretty low. The piercing arrow will miss, but Raheen's going to pound the rockets in. No Mega Inferno Bomb here. I mean, sorry, Super Mega Death Rocket for Raheen. Wrong bot lane champion here in this series, but doesn't look like any kills are going to go over, but Pockets barely gets out with his life.
Not a bad trade, really, for AoE randoms, considering the position they're in right there. Pockets was able to tank up most of the upfront damage, and more importantly, this time, it wasn't Short Hop getting hit by the death sentence there. It was Pockets, and if you're a tank support, you're okay with that. They won that one. I don't think they win the next one, because Raheen's going to come back into lane now with that Berserker's Grief, with the pickaxe here, and now that Jinx can start to run you down. It's a little bit rough for this bot lane. And now, Josie, with your boots, what can you find here? We've already said the bot side's hard to gank. And I know that top is not ideal, but I think you still look to that top lane here and try and make something happen. Maybe you can explosive cask Alorum under turret. Burning a flash is better than nothing right now.
Yeah, and at this point, it's really the only place you can go. Sure, it's not the best, but neither is anywhere else, RMC. Mid lane and bot lane definitely having massive advantages coming off of some of those early game plays. We're going to see some of that right now as Tuesday's going to stun up Leo, take about half of his health, and dash away just fine.
Oh, they have to be careful. Griffin's over the wall, and he's on a ward right now. They've even called Alorum down. They're looking for a 4-man dive into the mid. Feels a little gratuitous here. Herald is in Griffin's pocket, so if nothing else, they could look for plates here.
Doesn't look like just yet. Probably just want to keep the lane alive for a little bit longer, but Pockets could be in a bit of trouble. Dredge line out, but not going to be too much value. Going to be the Lantern coming in, and Griffin swoops in for the kill. 6-1 in favor of Zeus.
If you're AoE randoms right now, the last 4 kills out of 6 kills, or 5 kills out of 6 kills, have happened in the bot lane. You just don't, you can't walk through the river. Just don't leave the bot lane right now. If you are, go through your jungle, like deep through your jungle here. Oh, Josie has been isolated.
Yeah, has the flash, but I don't know if he's even going to use it. Chain of Corruption does come out, though, as it looks like Griffin will get stuck under the tower. One more turret shot will not mean his life. But here comes the rest of AoE randoms. The piercing arrow will do a lot of damage. The flay from Rhino is pretty big, but Leo will get the kill. And a much-needed influx of gold going over to the randoms. Pocket's going to use the Hex Flash over the wall, fighting up by himself a little bit, but it doesn't matter because he's going to swoop in and take it by himself on his lonesome. Wiggly will go down, and now both of the lanes in the top side have a lot of pressure from Zeus, but 2 kills go over for AoE.
Now that's what I'm talking about here, Grapes. If you are going to play through your bot side, play defensively here, and the turret makes all the difference. I want to point out that Josie's explosive cast didn't really do all that much there. The damage wasn't there. The knockback wasn't ideal, but because you have the turret on your side, you are able to equalize things. And you managed to get a kill onto Leo and onto Pockets, which is not ideal, but you take those right now. And once again, if you can get a big enough lead, if you can start to clear out the vision bot side, then maybe you can start looking for angles for Josie to get in there and actually try and take out Raheen.
Yeah, Raheen, he's pretty scary, RMC. 4-0-3, already has the Gale Force and the Berserker Greaves completed. Meanwhile, it's just Short Hop with some brown bag boots and just the components of his future Duskblade. So definitely a bit of a gold difference into the bot side, and looks like the gold might be also spread a little bit throughout the mid lane as well. It's going to be Griffin popping that Rift Herald into the mid lane, but they have to be careful. Josie is going to get hooked up though. Fight's already begun. Nice stopwatch coming out to delay a little bit for the AoE jungler, but it looks like he's doing a good amount of damage onto Rhino, but he's stuck in a 1v4. Not going to do too much. Tuesday going to dash forward with the distortion. Pockets ticking low. The chain is on him. We're going to have to flash away. Now it's 4v2 under the inner tower for AoE randoms, and Zeus Gaming are to continue the push.
Yeah, and honestly, we're focusing a lot on the bot lane because that's where the action's happening, but I'm scared of Tuesday, I think, more than I am of Raheen right now. 2-0-2 here with that Luden's Echo, and you can already see that Pockets had to flash or risk dying. That is not your ideal situation. Leo also is slowly losing CS. I mean, Leo's getting map pressure, but that's not what you necessarily want. Double flashes traded, and Short Hop is once again diveable.
Yeah, no flash means no life here, even if it's under your own turret. Kick in from Griffin, stuck in a 1v2. 2 more are on the horizon if that wasn't enough. Josie now might be a bit caught out. Nice hook coming out from Rhino. And the jungler for AoE falls once more. All of a sudden, it's 10-3. Make it 11 potentially in just a little bit. The death charge will try to buy Pockets a bit of time. Going to use the hook out to try and stay alive. But Griffin is also on the chase. Doesn't look like they're going to take down the Nautilus. Leo is trying to do his darndest to get some plates, get some sort of gold into the AoE pockets. But other than that, it's all Zeus in this game.
And second turret, first turret already going down to Herald earlier, but Raheen getting solo turret gold on that bot side as well. Things are going from bad to worse here, Graves, for AoE randoms. We said this is do or die, and right now, it's looking more die than do. Rhino's death sentences have been just on point throughout this game, and the fact that they can start diving you between the turrets like that, that's not a good sign. AoE randoms can no longer farm safely, and you're forced to group up a little bit earlier, and now it's a question of how do you catch those waves, how do you catch those farms safely without getting picked, without getting caught, and without snowballing the game further in favor of Zeus.
Well, we thought Zeus had a pretty big lead after game 1 RMC. As the turret plates fall here in game 2, it's 7,500 gold, 2 dragons, 2 turrets, and the morale of AoE randoms, I would say. It's not looking too good for them. They still need this win to try and stay alive in this game, try and stay alive in this series, try to stay alive in EGL altogether. And right now, they're going to need a miracle to try and do that.
Yeah, so far, this top lane has been in complete isolation for Chim. That's about to change, because with the turrets down mid and bot, you know what, I'm not even going to go. Oh, he survived.
He'll come out. Short Hop does have the ultimate if they want to use it. There's a chain of corruption coming in onto Tuesday. Cast forward, body slam, kill! Going over to Short Hop. The only thing is, can they get out? Wiggly coming in here with the resonating strike and to pick up his fourth kill. Might try to make it another, dashing in onto Josie, sitting at about 2,500 HP. The body slam forward, it's going to be a trade. Much needed kills coming out from the Gragas as he picks up his second.
There was a bounty on Griffin there. And Josie, I mean, you're 2-6-2. You take any kills you can get. Well, that was exciting, and it was a 2v2. Look what is happening elsewhere on the map. Alorum is handling a 1v2 with great aplomb, doesn't give a crap. Raheen and Rhino, they're just getting damage down on that top side, and Chim is not handling the 1v2 very well right now, is getting poked out, and you have zero chance of aggression against this Thresh. Short Hop? Okay. Okay. He's fine.
A little bit of poke. coming out, but a 2-level lead for Raheen. And as we said earlier, before the game really started, RMC, Raheen is going to be the central point of this composition. He's sitting at 5-0, and might be another kill going over onto Leo as well. Rhino might have gotten caught out here. Josie going to try and do some work. The needlework in from Chim as well. Snip, snip, go the scissors, but the hook comes in from Rhino. Josie dies again. And all of a sudden, it's Zeus pushing forward. Short Hop's about to die. Griffin comes in. The reset's coming through for Raheen as well. The Rocket will do a lot Tuesday. We'll do some more. Alorum is here on the backside. Going to try to look for a potential Fear Beyond Death. He's looking. He's looking. Can he find the ult? Griffin's going in under the enemy base. It's all Zeus in this game too, RMC.
Bloody hell, Graves. Look at how far back AoE randoms have to back up. Their tier 2 turret is still, or tier 1 turret still standing. The inner turret still standing. And they're pushed all the way back beyond their inhibitor. They're losing everything right now, and they can't really find a solid engage here. And Explosive Cast doesn't do anything.
Oh, yeah, not too much there. And the Lantern out again. Safeguard for Wiggly. Gonna be pretty big. Griffin, sorry. Doing so much work here. Shirley is popped by Rhino, and Zeus want to go again. Hook is going to land. Chim is going to get flayed up. Once again onto Josie. He's just a magnet for Rhino. He's going to go down again. Raheen is godlike, and Tuesday picks up one onto Pockets. Now a 5v3, 17 minutes into the game. And Zeus are hammering into the base of AoE randoms. Inhibitor will most likely go down here as 2 more kills go over to Zeus.
17 minutes for first inhib, Grapes. Baron's not up for 3 minutes here. That's so long. And Zeus don't care. They're just going to keep on pressuring. And why not? When you're able to dive them that deep into their base, when just Griffin looking at you funny after a fight is enough to force you back to your fountain, you can afford to just siege up anything you want. And this early in the game, yeah, it is going to be gold loss for Zeus. We talked about that last game. But at the same time, supers are actually very difficult for AoE randoms to clear out this early in the game. You don't have as much damage as you're normally used to having on your AD carries.
Yeah, and the second Rift Herald picked up as well for Griffin and the rest of Zeus Gaming. And everyone on this team has a significant advantage. Even Alorum, who's sitting at 0-0-1, still has that shutdown due to the amount of gold that his team has collected for him. Now in the side lane, Tuesday's going to use that second chain once again. Can Chim get enough healing? The needlework is doing a lot. Pockets is here as well, but Tuesday will be the one to secure the kill. Pockets is here with Leo. Ultimates are available on both of them, but here come the teleports from Alorum. Tuesday's going to get locked up by the death charging, potentially get taken down. Yes, that's Josie with the shutdown. And now Alorum is stuck in a 1v3, but here comes Raheen. Here comes Rhino, and all of a sudden, AoE is on the run. Alorum is so tanky. He's so strong. Going to use the Fear Beyond Death just for the slow. Zap goes the Jinx. Boom goes the Rocket, and down goes Leo. Raheen is just absolutely massive on this Jinx. 8-0-8.
Oh, Josie, you should have kept basing. He's probably dead.
Stridebreaker in. Rockets forward. Josie going to use the cast onto Alorum, buying some time. We're going to dodge away from that Q. And now it looks like Rhino might have gone a little bit too far. Going to use the stopwatch to try and buy some time. And the time he has bought. Pocket's going to get bursted down. And all of a sudden, Zeus are once again having the momentum. Josie's going to body slam in, but just to his own death. Tuesday's in the base looking for Short Hop. Bursts him down and says, "See you later, sucker. I'm getting out of here." Rift Herald popped into the bottom lane. But will it even matter? Because the Nexus turrets are under fire.
No, I'm going to say it doesn't matter, Grapes, at this point, sadly enough. Shelly dropped as well just to speed up the push in. And if you thought one hit was hard enough to deal with pre-20, there's 2. Griffin, how deep are you going, buddy?
Big kick coming out. Leo is forced to get away. And all of a sudden, the inhibitor on the bottom side has fallen. 5 strong for Zeus Gaming as they try to make the push. No Dancing Shelly just yet, but the first Nexus turret has fallen. All of a sudden, Josie's going to forward, going to try to make a miracle play. Not going to have it. Going to dash away with 200 HP, but now Chim is on the re-engage, having the needlework. Pocket's going to dash forward. Chim is going forward. Rhino goes down. Alorum goes down. Double kill going over to Leo. Ooh. Big kills here, but here comes Griffin. Here comes Alorum. And lots more go down too for AoE randoms at that. Tuesday's going to dash forward, pick up his second of the fight. And now it's Wiggly and Tuesday pushing into the base of AoE.
There are still supers in there. Oh, wow.
Oh, well, Tuesday goes down and Griffin is on the run. Not going to win this 1v2. He will miss from Short Hop, safeguard out from Griffin, and he'll get out with his life. But the damage has been done for Zeus Gaming. 13,000 gold lead for him.
Okay, I think they were just trying to buy time. There were supers in the base, and they were pushing in. But definitely, Zeus miscommunication there. Raheen's just like, I don't want to die, guys. I'm 8-0 and 13. I want my perfect game. And why not, right? They can just turn it around. Leo trying to find something here. You don't win this. And Josie at this point, you're a glorified minion, buddy.
Oh, he's gonna try to do some for some minions. Here, Raheen's gonna get bursted down by Leo, but Griffin has gone forward. Pockus is gonna go in with the dodge line, but he will pick up the kill. On to Griffin. Rhino's gonna dash forward with the Shirelli as Alorum is on his side. Josie will fall for the 11th time this game. He's died as many times as AOE have gotten a kill, and it's all Zeus. They pick up the whole point.
You know what? That one, worth. You killed Raheen, and Raheen was legendary. You also lose your Nexus turret, but hey, that was going to go down anyways. And you know what? We've seen AoE randoms before. This is where they really shine, when they've got an open Nexus, when they've got to defend
Just like
it.
last game.
Exactly. That was where, it looked for a second like they maybe could make something happen. We are past the 20-minute mark, so Baron is available here. I kind of don't want to see Zeus take it, because I just want to see them actually try a 5v5 fight and take this without taking Baron or Salt.
I will say, RMC, the situations are slightly different, I would argue, between Game 2 and Game 1. I think the gold lead may have been about 6,000 or 7,000 by the time all the inhibitors went down in Game 1. Now, it's about double of that. And now with the Baron spawned, a lot of pressure on the top side for Zeus Gaming, and Josie might have got caught out yet again. Alorum is just sitting in this bush, and his presence is enough to take down this tower.
Okay, AoE randoms here. You don't have a lot of time. Your supers are starting to push in once again on the bot side. Your mid lane inhib just came back up though. But if you don't try and force something soon, they are just going to slowly walk their minions in, take your inhibitors, and then once the supers start pressuring again, they'll take your Nexus.
Well, here's the hook in from Pockus. AoE is going to try to do something right now, but here comes Chim onto the backside. Fear Beyond Death is going to fear away too. Alorum is on a killing spree. He gets shut down by Leo on the backside. Here comes Chim. He's trying to do his best with a kick into the enemy team. Might have been just enough to secure kill here for Zeus Gaming. 4 versus 2 for the next 30 seconds. The inhibitor has respawned, but it won't be alive for long. Neither will Josie as he falls once again. The cask does a lot. Leo is here, picks up 1, has the rocket jumps. Can he do enough? Stopwatch on to Tuesday. It's Griffin and Tuesday against Leo. 5 seconds on Pockets. Can they stall enough?
I mean, Leo can try and stall, but the minions are killing him, and he's still alive.
He's still alive.
There
Griffin fully takes him down. But here comes Pockets. Short Hop is alive in 5 seconds. This game has gone super insane. 2 kills per minute at this point. But the teleports are coming in from Alorum and from the rest of Zeus. Griffin is here. Has the Sonic Wave. Will he take it? Not just yet. Nexus has been exposed, as we've said before. But now the rest of the randoms have respawned. Now it's a 4v3. But Chim is already getting taken pretty low. No Fear Beyond Death just yet by Alorum. And here comes Tuesday. Going to land the chain here onto Pockets. Make it another. Josie is here trying to do his best. Looking for some sort of engage onto the back line. But he just can't find it because Alorum is just too good at body blocking. Josie's going to get hit up once again. Griffin's not going to take the Q once more. But now here comes the fight. Flash forward from Pockets. Not going to find too much. The Nexus is still open. The minions are continuing to push in. Pockets is going to get hit up and taken down by Tuesday. That might have been the pick that Zeus need to close the game. Here comes Raheen. Here comes Rhino. And here comes Zeus on the push. Here it goes. We're going to see the stopwatch already from Rhino, but all of a sudden, randoms have already picked up 2 kills from Leo. Can they make it another? Chim is here. Going to get taken down by Tuesday, but Raheen is still alive. He has a heal. He has a flash. Here comes Leo. He can't do it. Double kill for Raheen. Nexus is exposed. Zeus Gaming secure first spot in the group, and they'll say goodbye to AOE randoms as they knock him out of the EGL Summer Showdown.
I hate it, Graves. I hate so much that the tiebreaker rule worked out the way it did, because this is it for AoE randoms in EGL, and props to them, man. The early games are rough, I'll give them that, but that is more Zeus playing really well than anything else, right? And AoE randoms, yeah, they are kind of getting bodied in the early game, but look at their late game, man. Their Nexus defenses are absolutely insane, and I would have loved to see more of that.
You can only think and imagine how this game, how this series, how this entire tournament could have differed just if that early level 3 play around the Rift Scuttler didn't go so poorly. If Tuesday didn't get those 2 kills, if Raheen didn't get all of that bot lane prio, but instead, Zeus take their early game advantage and they push it down and they end the game in less than 30 minutes. A very good job by them. And I'm really excited to see them as they go perfect in this group as they make their way to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, 6-0, and that is what is expected of Zeus. They had a bit of a rough run towards the end of Risen here, but they're back into it, and they are looking really clean as well. I mean, we talked about the fact that this composition here, it's a little bit spread out, right? Your Lee Sin, your LeBlanc, they're doing their own thing. Jinx doesn't have a lot of frontline, and Lorem on the Ergon and all that, but they make it work. And not only do they make it work in lane, they make it work as a team fight composition as well. Body blocking, letting Tuesday and Griffin here just kind of get the poke down, and then Raheen just popping off after. It's looking really good. And going in as first seed, I pity whoever their opponents are coming into this. And I'm looking very much forward to see who the second seed out of Group D is, because Supernova and Dignitas Mirage, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think either of them have made it to playoffs so far in Tier 2.
Yeah, I don't think so. And for
Yeah.
Supernova, they're breathing a huge sigh of relief. Sorry. Oh, there we go. I'm back. But anyway, yeah, Supernova definitely taking a deep breath as they are still alive in this group. If that game went any differently, if game one went any differently, would be just AOE randoms in the playoffs. And it's pretty insane of how much one little game, one small moment in one of those two games could have meant such a difference, because AOE randoms were in a position to take first. They're going to walk away with fourth.
Yep. And that's kind of it for the group stages. I believe this was the last game. I think we were told AOE did actually manage to win 2-0 on mainstream. So AOE at least gets one of their teams to advance to the playoffs here.
Yep, at least one, but I believe there's still some more action yet to be done here on Summoner's Rift. We got some tiebreakers at RMC, and I'm super excited to see them.
Yeah, I have no clue how that's gonna pan out here.
Yeah, me neither.
Or how that's gonna roll, but yeah, should be an interesting one.
Yeah, and if you guys are looking to see that, make sure to stay tuned on Twitter, on social media, anywhere that you possibly can, because Supernova versus Dignitas Mirage gonna be a pretty exciting matchup. Supernova took the first two in a 2-0 today, and now they're gonna try and make it a third to try and push their ticket into their first playoffs of the Tier 2 tournaments.